All right, everybody. Sorry about that. We had a little technical issue, but we got Rory on now. So we appreciate you all hanging in there. Rory is here. He's going to be talking about how to turn your buyers into a cash buyer. I'm sure we all have lost out at some point to a cash offer. We know we still are in a very competitive market. We know that we have to be able to structure offers to really compete. And this program that Rory's company offers it works really, really well. So I'm going to let him dive in, take it over. If you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. And we appreciate everybody being on, and we appreciate everybody hanging in there. So let's get it going, Rory. It's all
Yeah,
you.
thanks. And yes, thank you for your patience. I don't know if it was something on our end with security and private information, but yeah, here I am. So thanks so much for your time. With this program and kind of where it came from was that, I think like to be a true valuable resource to your strategic partners, you have to be able to solve problems. And I think one of the problems we're seeing with this limited inventory is getting kind of lost in the shuffle of all the offers, but also trying to compete with a cash offer. Because I think, I could be wrong, Michael, but every seller really wants a certainty. In some cases, they're fine with the price. They just want the most certain or most, best offer. Would you agree? Yeah. So with our cash offer right now, I think in the last 2 years, this program's been around for 2 years, and we've really ran all the, trial and error and really fine-tuned it to where it's running extremely smooth, and it always has. But I think in the last 2 years, we've only lost out on one offer, where there's been multiple offers and we were using our cash offer. The reason I think that we've been so successful with it is because I always follow up with a call to the listing agent to make sure that they understand the details of this program. Because you write the contract just like it's a non-contingent financing offer, put in the special agreements that it's USA cash offer. But that phone call, when I follow up to explain what the offer is, how it works, I also always let the listing agent know, like, even if there's other cash offers, are they backed by a credit line with hundreds of millions of dollars? I mean, it's a significant amount of certainty that you can add to the offer, and we have a reputation that we need to maintain through the industry. So with this program, we really haven't missed. And even recently, we had one. There was over 12 offers, multiple over ask. We went in at asking with the cash offer, made the phone call, and we actually ended up getting the deal, even though there was some over ask. So it's just been a great program, and it's not too difficult to qualify. The qualifications are they got to have 10% down or 10% liquid. And the reason is like that we use that as a cushion in case there is an appraisal gap. If there's a difference in the value versus what it appraises for. But they don't have to do 10% down. They can do as little as 3%. They just have to have 10% liquid, even if that's coming in the form of a gift from a parent or relative. Other requirements are we have to have a 680 credit score plus, which isn't too difficult to qualify for. It is for conventional only and single family only. So it's only no investment properties, doesn't count for those. Some of the other benefits are we take our top underwriters, so like our managing underwriters, and we make them available for when one of these pre-approvals come through. It's all hands on deck, and they get it through within 24 hours guaranteed. Now, they usually come out with a condition or two because so many times people get an underwritten pre-approval and it's like, oh, this is awesome, it's underwritten pre-approval. Well, this pre-approval is every single T is crossed, I is dotted, even lowercase j is dotted. All we really need is an appraisal, and then we're done. The loan is done. On average, we close my check this today. We average about 13 days because sometimes people do 10, other times people do 14. But right now, as a company, we average from contract to close 13 days on these loans. Now you heard appraisal, and probably a thought is like, what if we want to waive the appraisal contingency? You can waive that, but we still have to have an appraisal done because of the gap, but also because if we end up having to basically refinance them after closing, if we end up having to use the cash to buy, we refinance them after closing, and we have to have an appraisal for that to get it done quickly. It's only like if we can't get something from the employer in time or something like that, an unforeseen scenario where we would need to do that. But It closes in the customer's name. They're on title with USA, and then when we refinance, we can just get them off. But we haven't had to refinance anybody yet. But that's why we need an appraisal. So I'll even explain to the listing agent that an appraisal needs to be done, but there doesn't need to be an appraisal waiver in the contract. So, it's something that really kind of gives us an advantage, making that phone call, talking to the listing agent, and it gives buyers who don't have the flexibility to have cash become cash buyers by having over 680 credit and the ability to access 10%. Again, we've had customers who could only do 3, but their parents said, "Hey, we'll put that we're giving you a gift. We'll cover the 10% if that comes to that." And we went 3% down using this program, and it worked. It was been great. So really helps in this market where you see limited inventory, and one house maybe it's like, we don't offer, it's kind of sitting. Then the next house, it's 45 showings, 20 offers. You got to do every single thing you can. You got to arm wrestle somebody, to thumb war to try to just get to the top of that list to get across the finish line. And this is something that's going to help you and your buyers. So, and one thing that we've found is that we've actually started partnerships with agents through this product. They came to use this program for their buyer to help, and they ended up staying and continuing to use us because of the service and the way we communicate and the way we operate. We really try to operate at a much higher level and keep things simple, but really try to build that relationship for life for you and your client, where we know we're a true reflection of you and your business. So there's a lot more to offer behind just this program. It's following up with, never trying to ever say no. Like Mike, just out of example, we've been working together for probably 10 years. In that total time, how many times have I said we could get something done and we didn't come through?
Very rare, very rare.
I mean, do you even remember 1 or 2? I mean,
No,
maybe
not
1.
real. No,
Yeah.
maybe 1. But yeah, I will say, yeah, Rory's a guy. We started working in 2014, and back then, I told him, I was like, look, we're real estate agents. We work nights, we work weekends. You've got to be accessible. You can't be the lender that it's Friday at 4:30, we're shutting down. And that's what he does. It's great. He's very accessible. You can call him, you can text him, if you need something, he's always there to help. And I think that's one of the great benefits of having a really good lender partner, is a lender that does care and that does get things done. We've also had scenarios where other people couldn't do it, and Rory's figured out ways to get it done. So I would keep that in mind too. If you've got a lender that says, nope, we can't get them approved or whatnot, and you haven't used Rory, give him a shot and see what he can do, because he gets creative. He thinks outside the box to make sure he leaves no stone unturned when it comes to getting people approved. And Rory, let me ask you about the program. So if I have a buyer, and what's the first step? I send them to you to get them approved for this cash buyer process. How long does that take to get them approved?
So it's going to take as long as, and if they have all their documents submitted, the second that we submit the application, 24 hours.
So I send them to you, as long as they have
Guaranteed.
all the docs to you, within 24 hours, they're approved, and now they're a cash buyer.
Right. We've had scenarios where even less than 24 hours, where like a Friday, a house came live. They said, hey, we want to use it. We've already had them kind of under an approval. We've done the cash offer in like 2-3 hours to make sure that they can make that offer that night. Because it is, again, it's all hands on deck for these specific loans. Because we really want to differentiate in the market with this product. So yeah, it's 24 hours.
24 hours, they're approved, provided, obviously credit worthiness, which you said 680 minimum. I submit my offer, then I put cash offer or USA cash offer on my contract instead of conventional.
Yeah, in the special agreements, you could put cash offer, because in most scenarios, you're just waiving financing contingency, and it just kind of looks like you're just waiving financing contingency. Where we want to, that's where I will make that phone call. And then I also have a templated email with the pre-approval that you can send with the offer, explaining that it is a true cash offer, and it's USA Mortgage buying that house cash. So if we don't come through, we buy that house cash. And even on top of that, some of these approvals, like if it's very, very high credit worthiness, they add a $5,000 guarantee to the sellers. So not only like would they buy it cash if they were to fall through, they also are guaranteed an additional $5,000 if we don't come through.
Really interesting. Yeah. Okay. So then they get, I'm just trying to, so we can get clear on it. So we submit the offer cash. We got this guarantee as well. So it is a cash offer. USA is buying the house, but the loan ultimately, they're on title with the buyer until we refinance.
We don't refinance every scenario. Most cases, like 99% of the time, we're just closing that loan in their name. So what we're actually doing is we are just using all hands on deck to get every aspect of the pre-approval done. Most underwritten pre-approvals in this industry, they don't do some of the steps that cost money. They'll, in case they don't end up closing, to hedge their risk, they won't order certain credit authorizations, certain verifications of employment, things along those lines. We actually check every single box within that 24 hours. So sometimes, it will come out of underwriting and they'll say, we need this, or we need a letter of explanation. There'll be a little bit more to it, but it is a true, completely done. You walk away within 10 days, we can close. And legally, the fastest we can close is 8 days from contract to close legally. So yeah, within 24 hours, and it can be done super quick. One other scenario that I've also done, because it's my goal to help, is that where you've gone down this road, and let's just say your client's using their cousin who's a lender, and they want to use their cousin, but you can't get them under contract. I have actually gone on and said, why don't we just do the cash offer to get under contract? And if they can close in 10 days or 2 weeks, you just close with them. But if not, you can work with us. Because I know that once they see how we work, the level of service we provide, and the way that we're just willing, we want to help you. Like, our goal is to just help you. And we know that, like, what goes around comes around. And if you're giving and providing value and excelling and trying to do your best, you're naturally going to get more opportunity, and people are going to choose you anyway. So it's really just, how do we help you and be a resource and use this tool for you? And I'm fine, even if that's that scenario. If it's going to get your customer all across the finish line, great, let's do it.
So no, I love that. And I know people are probably thinking, like, I know I've used this program, it is legitimate, but people are probably thinking, like, what's the catch? Sounds too good to be true. Like, are they paying higher fees because of it? Are they, what's that
Same.
look like?
Everything's the exact same, standard conventional loan. Really what we're doing is we're just setting it up and closing it in 8 days. So in most scenarios, it's like any normal transaction, we're just saying, we'll take the risk that we're betting on our underwriters that we're going to come through in that 8-day window, that we'll actually buy cash if we make a mistake. And so that's why it's very thorough, but also the speed element and the level of urgency when that pre-approval comes through. There's like an alert on the underwriter's desks. We got to get to this one quick, because we've got some risk there. But we are backed, and we haven't had to buy one cash yet. We've gotten every single one done in time. Actually, I think there was one, but it wasn't with our team. We've gotten every single one done on time. So there's no additional fees, no additional costs. Not having to refinance in 99% of the time. And the only difference is you're just going to mark non-contingent and then put in USA cash offer in the agreement, so they know what that is and what that means.
So why wouldn't everybody use this?
I don't know,
Right?
and
I
that's
mean,
why,
yeah.
yeah. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I think most people probably don't know about it. Probably didn't know it was a thing. Because I feel like it is such a great program. It doesn't cost your client any extra. It gives them the upper hand. As far as like credit worthiness too, I mean, aside from the 10%, not that they have to put down, they can put down as low as 3%, correct? But they have to at least have 10%, call it cash reserves, or the ability, like
Right.
somewhere in a 401k, something like that, right?
Yeah,
So if they're
even
buying
even a gift from a relative.
even a gift, so if they're buying a $300,000 house, they have to have 30 grand somewhere.
Right.
Not that they have to use it, but they still have to have that. So that might be a limiting thing for some people potentially. But I mean, 680 credit score, that's, it's not out of this world to have a 680 credit score. So it's not like my point is, it's not like the requirements to qualify are that strict.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of your clients, I feel like a lot of people on this call as clients should be able to get approved for this. So yeah, I think it's a great program. It really is, and it works well. And having used it myself too, not personally, but for clients, we know it's a legitimate program that does work well.
Yeah, and to me, even at the end of this all, not only does it add certainty to the sellers and the listing agent, but also it adds certainty to you and your commission. Because like, they're backing this cash regardless. This thing's closing, and it's backed by cash, but also it has been through the most thorough underwriting you can possibly get because we hedge our risk where we don't want to take any access risk on. We're doing every single thing up front. So I think like that's one of the biggest things is like, when you don't come through for an agent or a client, it's like not only does the client upset with you, but also you're not getting paid for all of those showings, all of that work. And it eliminates any of that uncertainty and protects that commission for the work that you've already done. I think that's one thing that people are short-sighted on is like, all of the work agents have to do when they don't get paid. It's like, oh, they may get paid that much for a deal. It's too much. It's like, not really when you spread across all the things you're basically doing for free for customers who may not end up buying, may not get qualified. There's a lot. So we protect that with this program as well. And also adds clients for life. It really differentiates for that client when they make multiple, they go through 3 different times where they made an offer and they've gone above and they're uncomfortable doing it, but they know it's what it takes. And then we finally get it because of this program. It really says something about you and the way that you're operating your business and building your database, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, so what questions do we have? Does anybody have questions? Feel free to unmute, ask questions. Now's the time to do it. Does anybody have questions about the program? Or if you don't want to unmute, you can drop it in the chat too.
Yeah.
While we're waiting for people to maybe unmute here. Yeah, again, I think, so Rory, what do they need to do to get somebody approved? What's your contact info, or Leo, can you drop the contact info in the chat?
Yeah. Yeah, just email or call us, or even if you have had scenarios recently where you made that offer and it didn't get accepted, we can talk to that customer. And again, they don't even have to leave. They got that loyalty. We just want to help. And it's a great way to show you how the program works. So your next buyer, it may be something that you want to offer or mention. And I think that you're right, Michael. I think like the biggest obstacle with this program is just getting the awareness out there on what it is.
Yeah, I think so too. We do have a question. How to show the seller about the cash offer bank balance to convince it's an all cash offer?
That's a great question, because sometimes they want to see proof of funds. But that would be within what our pre-approval and the legal description in that pre-approval and how it states that it is an all cash offer and how you write it. And then the explanation. So the templated email, and I can forward that to you if you want to share it. But also and I can give you an example of what that pre-approval looks like. It explains it in there. So we can't really show our credit line that we use to, for some of these scenarios, but it's over $100 million. So I mean, hundreds of millions, because we actually, before we sell loans, we buy them. We service them, we create it, we buy that house, and then we sell at a later date. So we have significant amount of money backing this product.
So it's in the pre-approval letter you would send. And so that's something to keep in mind too. We can write this now not contingent on financing. So keep that in mind. There's still a loan involved, but it's not contingent on financing because USA Mortgage is essentially saying if we can't get this person approved, we're going to pay cash for the house. Right? I'm correct.
Yeah.
Right?
If you don't close it in 10 days or whatever the 14 days, we buy it cash.
And it doesn't have to close that quickly, correct? If someone like a seller's like, I need 45 days or whatnot.
Not at all. But a lot of times it is something that does up where even some cash buyers will still want like appraisals and inspections. And if we're being really aggressive, that 10 days or 8 days is attractive to some people, especially if they're buying another house or they're doing new construction.
Yeah. Do you have an example contract to email?
I can try to find one. I'll have to black out names and private information, but I can find one that was used in the past. Sure.
Yeah. Cool.
But it's pretty simple, but that is something we get questions on. And I think the most pushback we get is on that appraisal. They're like, why do you need one? Like, why is that a thing? But we try to explain up front and be thorough in that it's just like the buyer just wanting to get an appraisal, just to know the value, even though it's not going to impact the fact that it's going to close. It's just they want to see what it's actually worth. So we need it, but there's not a contingency or a requirement around it. We just have to do one. So like if it doesn't appraise, that's fine. Doesn't open the table for renegotiation.
Got it. That makes sense. Hang on, I'm trying to find this.
Great questions, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, I have another one here too. Can I incorporate this program into my buyer presentations or home buyer seminars? If so, do you have co-branded resources we could use?
100%. We've got a ton of co-branded resources available through Total Expert. If you could let me know who asked that, or I can even put it, a follow-up on how to sign up for the Total Expert. But I would say there's like 6 or 7 flyers with it. And then even with your buyer presentation, I know that Mike, when you had those, like we actually would print them in-house. We would get some of our info, and so we could actually have our team customize it and put that in there, showing that when you're, kind of going over that buyer's presentation of that, highlighting it, and then, some of our info to help lower the cost.
That's good. And I do want to mention that while you get everybody on here, check that table. If you haven't used it, I've had in the past when I was putting together like $1 million leads, right? Like nice marketing material, nice collateral. The printing company, I don't know, it says my internet's unstable. I'm not sure what's on here.
Yeah, you're getting a little spotty.
There we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but like $1 million real high-end listings where marketing collateral at a printer was going to cost, I don't know, $150, $200. Rory with his company, because they have an in-house marketing team and program and all of that, it was like $10 or $15. So huge savings from that aspect as well. If you haven't utilized their marketing program, make sure you take advantage of that and check that out. It's pretty cool. All the resources for listings, buyers, marketing, all kinds of marketing collateral. It's really, really cool. Door hangers. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff they can do.
We're like experts with the Every Door direct mailers. We've got a team set up where it's completely streamlined, where we even have some agents that say, hey, I don't even want to think about, I just want to like farm this area. So every month we send them an example of what we could send, whether it be like Halloween or a recipe, whatever. We take care of everything. You just say, hey, here's kind of what I'm thinking. And every month we can do that, Every Door direct. And the cost is like 17 cents or 18 cents. It's right in line because you're really only paying for paper and the printing, and that's just compliance. But yeah, we had one example where we did, I think we were like looking at Minuteman Press, and it was like $16, $17 per brochure, and it was like $1.85 for us to do. It's just paper and ink. That's all you're paying for. But that's a compliance thing. So
right. That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you haven't looked at the marketing stuff, check that out as well. Roberta said, please send me information of the marketing. So she put her email too. So we'll make sure we get Rory your email to get that over to you, and anybody else that wants as well.
I just wrote it down. Yeah. But yeah, Roberta, thanks for that. And yes, I'll get that out to you right away. And when you make your first order, I'd highly recommend calling me or Renee or David. We'll walk you through that first order, because it's kind of one of those things that it feels a little overwhelming at first. But like once you do an actual order, you're like, oh, okay, this is pretty easy. And then you just start doing them all the time. Because I'll show it to agents, and there's some agents who every single month I'm seeing order after order where I'm like, whoa, okay, that's awesome. And then others that I see log in and then never do anything with it. And I think really just kind of getting through that overwhelming feeling of like, setting everything up the way you want it to getting it out. Once we get through that, it's a breeze, because it links to the MLS. So your listings and things like that, if you want to do same brochure, same flyer, same marketing for everyone, it'll auto create it, and then you can just hit publish and print, and then they'll give you their cost right there on the website. So
awesome. That's good. It's really good. So I know everybody on this call probably has a lender, but if you haven't used Rory and Renee, there's a reason they're our quote unquote in-house lender. It's because they do a good job. They provide a lot of value. They provide a lot of support. Even the phone call Rory makes when you submit an offer, when he calls the listing agent to just explain kind of the credit worthiness and the strength of your borrower, that goes a long way. Helps set your offers apart from many others, and then add on this cash offer program as well. It's really going to help your clients be set up to win, and it doesn't cost them anything extra. They're not going to pay anything more than going to another lender that doesn't have the product or that program. So just keep that in mind. I think it's super important. If you haven't used Rory, reach out to him. We've got some more people dropping their emails into Rory, so we'll get those all to you as well.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. No, and thank you for saying that. And, thanks for this opportunity. But yeah, it's really about differentiating with value, looking for ways to increase value, and really trying to continuously look for solutions for us. But we're willing to go above and beyond, and we do have our relationships, which is great. Like I love loyalty. I mean, I think it's amazing. But also there are gonna be scenarios where people are not available on weekends. People are on vacation or maybe the customer's like, I just want to talk to 3 people, 2 people. In those scenarios, we would love to be that other option just to kind of show you what it's like to work with us. Because so many times it's been, I would have talked to an agent for a long time, 6 months, and they're like, you know what, we've got this guy, you're driving me crazy, here, let's see how you do. And they're like, wow, that was like, they're already approved, they're already done. The communication was great. Okay. And of course, those are just doing what you're supposed to do. The job, communicating, following up, following through, but doing it consistently and every time makes us all look good and it makes the transaction more smooth. So we would really, really appreciate any opportunities.
Awesome. And Tim Lang asked, is it strictly for conventional loans?
Yes. Yeah, it's conventional only.
But keep in mind, Tim, they do have a conventional 3% loan program, correct?
Yeah. Conventional 3% down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're above 680, you're going to want to do conventional anyway, because of the fees with some of the government loans, unless you're USDA or a veteran. But for most, even in some of those scenarios, the conventional, with the way we do our rates and the way everything's structured, conventional is going to be your best option when you're 680 plus, almost always. Even with as little as 3% down, because, well, I can explain that for another day, but there's fees and stuff associated with FHA where the conventional becomes a better option.
So even with like Tim's military, so he might work with a lot of veterans. So VA loans, 100% down, it still could be advantageous if they have the ability to put 3% down.
Can be, yeah, because with VA, like after you've used it once, or you've used it first time, if you don't have the shoot, I don't know why it's blanking, but basically you have a entitlement fee of 1%, in some cases up to 2.15 and 3.3%. So every time you use it, you get hit with a fee that's rolled into the loan of 3.3%. So if a customer's putting like 20% down, they're like, well, I still want to use VA. I'm like, but your loan's 200,000. So essentially you're basically rolling in almost $7,000 in fees because of this fee. It's a funding fee, is what it's called. But so unless you have a 10% disability, that's, so if you have disability of 10% or greater, you don't have that fee. But if you have that fee, sometimes conventional can be a better option. But if you're only doing 3% down, you won't have mortgage insurance with VA, where you do have it with, and that's what that fee covers for the most part. So there are scenarios, but most scenarios you want to try to go with the VA loan.
Good. Okay. Good.
Great question. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Anybody else? Any other questions that you might have? So Rory's going to send out some marketing collateral. If you could also put some stuff on Facebook in the Facebook group, I think that would be good, because we'll drop this recording on the Facebook group, Rory, so people can watch it later, that weren't able to get on live today.
Yeah. In your opinion, would you say for like that marketing, I was saying ordering your first order, if I just did a quick video on how to sign up and how to make that order and shared it, do you think that would be something that'd be helpful for everybody?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Perfect. And I'll get that out.
Okay, that'd be great.
All right, Roberto.
Take advantage of the marketing though. The marketing stuff's really, really good. And it's a huge cost savings. I can't overemphasize that. Like, especially you could put together really nice quality marketing material for your listings. And even just like Rory mentioned, like every door direct stuff, door hangers, working, buyer flyers, all kind, like we put together when I was actively selling a lot, we had buyer booklets, we had listing booklets, we had all kinds of really cool high-end looking marketing collateral that did not cost a lot. So yeah, make sure you reach out to Rory on that. You can put together some really, really nice stuff.
I just did some door hangers for somebody and it was 5 cents for 2. So, and it's like magazine quality.
Oh, so like 2.5 cents each. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Like 5 cents or something like that for 2.
Yeah.
So it's like 2.5, 2 cents, 2.5 cents, printed, cut, ready to go. Now you'll have to like poke your finger through that hole on the sheet, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's we sometimes say we're a marketing company that does mortgages, but I emphasize really the service and experience customers get, but the marketing is fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, good program. Certainly, everybody try it out. I mean, I highly recommend it. It's going to set your buyers apart. It's going to give them the upper hand. We've all lost out on cash offers. It's happened. So let's use this program. Use it to your client's advantage. It's going to help you get more deals done. And because we know we're still competing, if a house is in really, really good shape and it's updated and it's priced correctly, you're going to probably compete multiple offers because inventory levels are still low. So highly recommend you take advantage of this. Reach out to Rory. Leo dropped his contact information in the chat. So go ahead and click the chat down at the bottom. You'll see it on the right-hand side then. But give him a call. And then Rory, if you would post that in the Facebook group as well, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. And even when we're not in a limited inventory market, which, obviously we're now, but even if we're not, what better way to add certainty to your transaction, for your commission, to your, like having all of that done to where, once I get this approval, I know we just got to find the house. Everything else is done for sure. No questions, which I think we all want.
Yeah. Getting your client done ahead of time. There's no reason. Exactly. It's not like it's just a very general blanketed pre-approval. They're going through and actually getting your person pre-approved. And so that way, that they're qualified to buy a home now, which is great because we don't want to just get like, hey, yeah, I make X amount. I think my credit's this. Lender sends a pre-approval. We go out and show houses. They want to make an offer. And then they're like, oh, sorry, we can't get them approved. So putting them through this process really, really works well. Kathy also said, highly recommend Rory, Renee, and David. Rockstars. Total Expert is great too, and so inexpensive. Total Expert's the marketing program we've been talking about. So thank you, Kathy. Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah. So Kathy, again, she uses Rory, Renee, and David. So any other questions before we wrap up?
And I believe my first transaction with Kathy was one another lender couldn't do, and she gave me a shot. And we've been working with her for a few years now since. So
yeah, that's great.
So thank you so much, Kathy.
Keep that in mind, guys. If you have somebody, now granted, like if somebody's got like a no money and a 400 credit score, like Rory's not a magician, that's going to be tough, but he does have a credit repair person that can maybe help those people. But if you have somebody that another lender could not get them approved and they said no, and they've got, decent credit score, they've got some, some money, send them to Rory. Don't just give up on that client. Send them to Rory. Say, hey, it wouldn't hurt to get a different, at least a second opinion, just to see, because Rory, he does go above and beyond with thinking outside the box, thinking creatively, figuring out ways to get them approved when a lot of other lenders, especially like big box lenders, like, like US Bank or Bank of America or Rocket, something like that, Quicken Loans, whatever, they're very much like they've got certain numbers they plug in. Nope, can't do it. And so Rory will dig deeper into it to try to figure it out and see if he can get them approved. So just keep that in mind as well. There have been lots of instances where in the past, before Rory and I even started, that's kind of Rory and I started working together too. We would send him the people that couldn't get approved. And he started doing a really good job and then earned his role as our number one agent, our lender. So because we would send him people that our current preferred lender back in the day wasn't getting deals done. And so we would send them to Rory. Rory figured out a way to get them approved. And then Rory moved into the number one spot. So just keep that in mind. If you have a lender, most of us do, right? Obviously, but give Rory a shot and just see how he does and take advantage of this program. Really recommend it.
Yeah, thank you for that. And and it's really just the difference between a transactional and a relationship building transaction where if you think people walking into a bank or calling Rocket, if that customer doesn't work out, is it really going to ruin their day? Is it really, they've got 10 other people calling that day, where for us, we're 100% referral. And we know that like how important these deals are for you and us in this tighter market. So we're going to go above and beyond, and we don't do anything illegal. It's just, there's almost always a way. And if there's not a way, we provide, okay, this doesn't work, but we have option A, B, and C going forward that we can proceed with. And here's like what I would say, 6 months, 4 months, but we usually figure something out. And David on our team is actually a licensed underwriter. So, he's a great resource to even call and run some things by, calculating tough income, things along those lines. So we've really got everything that you're going to need, right here in-house for us.
And David is fluent in Spanish as well. So just keep that in mind too. If you have clients that speak Spanish, or maybe they speak English and Spanish, but they prefer Spanish because it's their native tongue, give David a shot too on that. He does a great job. We had a client earlier this year that spoke English and Spanish, but predominantly Spanish, and he did a fantastic job explaining the process. He helped out in the buyer consultation as well to explain the buying process. So he came to the buyer consultation. Like, they really go above and beyond. It's pretty cool. So I just can't recommend them enough, honestly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Any other questions before we wrap up? All right, if you do, unmute, but yeah, we'll hang out for a few minutes. Rory, we appreciate it very much. Let's just sit tight. Thank you for the information. We just got some thank yous coming in. So yeah, we appreciate everybody being on. Rory, thanks for doing this. Rory will get that video out on how to utilize that Total Expert and get some information on this program as well. And we appreciate you all being on today.
I'll get the link out today to sign up, but I'll try to get that video out tomorrow.
Perfect. Okay,
yeah,
that's good. Yeah,
perfect. All right, awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Mike, thanks for the kind words, but also all the opportunities and the opportunity to be here. And we're also open to feedback. If you're hearing another lender doing something that you like and you'd like somebody in-house to be doing it, I'm not taking it personal. I just want to get better. I want to improve for us. So let us know that too. We would love to help just in any way possible.
Yeah, love it.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it, everybody. We'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody, for being on.
Have a good one.
All right, take care.